To your question, how do you exercise your brain to keep it strong? The way you do this is to stretch it. Do things that make your brain a little bit uncomfortable. Learn something new. Get on stage and try a Toastmasters. My first time, so uncomfortable, I have to say. Even learning a new instrument or traveling, doing crossword puzzles. These are all ways that you're stretching your brain. And the research consistently shows that people who do these things have better brain function that lasts them into their later decades. So not only are you creating a better brain today, but you're basically developing a partner that is going to be more solid in your life for the rest of your life.
So cool. And how about meditation? What are your thoughts on meditation? Do you think that that's a type of exercising the brain, or what do you think about brain health and meditation?
I mean, I would say meditation can be one of the most challenging and, I guess, stretching activities that a person can do. Now, you know this far better than I do. There are many types of meditation. There are many different ways that you can do this. It is a part of my day. I use it as an exercise primarily to get my brain into the state I want it to be for the rest of the day. So it's my main reset in the morning to try to level things out, get my brain calmed down. But when I've done longer meditations, things get really challenging. And so that is absolutely a form of stress on your brain, and I think a good form of stress on your brain. Again, you know this research very well, but when you look at the brains of meditators versus non-meditators, you can see the structural and functional changes. And it does seem like at a very basic level, meditation is something we can do that decreases stress. One of the most toxic things we know about for long-term brain health is chronic stress. So anything we can do to mitigate that is a good thing, and meditation seems pretty consistently to be one of the best strategies for lowering that stress. So I do look at meditation as a form of brain exercise. I think it depends on what you're doing. You know, a mindful walk, is it a brain exercise just like learning a new instrument? Probably not. But you do a full day of silent meditation, you are doing some real stretching of your brain and changing your neurons.
So it's interesting. So in this context, it feels like the stretching or the exercise would be something new or something challenging. And for you, it's like, oh, if I'm extending my meditation, that's a challenge, right? Whereas like the type of meditation that I teach is so effortless. Like it's based on something called Nishkam Karma Yoga, which means union attained by action hardly taken, lazy meditation. However, so even though, and I recommend people do the same sort of ritual every day. So it's like you're not changing, it's not expanding. However, I would make the argument that it is in fact healing because one, it is decreasing stress, but two, because more of the brain is lighting up, it's like you're changing the neural networks. Like you're out of just the fight or flight where the amygdala is lighting up or just the prefrontal cortex. And so the whole thing can light up. So even though it's lazy, even though it's restful, even though it's effortless, the brain is functioning in a different way. And so it's a type of exercise.
I think that makes total sense. I guess what I'm referring to in particular is this idea of cognitive reserve, which helps to understand why people who have more complex jobs, who go on to get advanced degrees, may have a lower rate of developing conditions like Alzheimer's because they've built up almost more connections between the neurons. So they have some stability. Even if things kind of get a little bit worse, they have that reserve. And so these are some of the things that seem to be implicated in why puzzles, instruments, doing new and stressful things can actually build more of that, and why people who retire earlier may actually be at a higher risk for developing dementia. But what you're describing here, which I want to really emphasize the importance of, is that probably the best predictor of brain health is the habits we have each day. There is nothing that is a bigger driver of our actions than habits as it relates to a chunk of our daily activities. So if those habits are set up in a healthful way, you start your day with a meditation, you eat a healthful meal, you call a friend, and you do that every day. This is compounding interest for the brain. And this is what I really don't like about so much of the wellness industry and the health industry, which is whether it's the brain or weight loss or anything else, it's all predicated on this idea that you do it and it's going to fix everything, it's going to be really easy, and then 3 weeks later, everyone abandons ship. This is the New Year's resolution. This is why most diets don't stick. This is why people pay a ton of money for a new exercise program or a gym membership, and then a few weeks later, they never go again. This is a great model if you are trying to bring in new customers because they pay you and then they don't follow through and they have to pay you the next year. But the wellness industry is predicated on people not being well. So it actually is a little disincentivized to provide the solutions that work, because then you can't have a new book the next year, right? You can't have a new program. If people are healthy, they don't need those programs, which as a participant in this industry, I understand. But I also understand that we are aware of, if you're really wanting to take control over your wellness and your brain health, you have to have, I think, a relatively higher degree of suspicion as to what are people's incentives for the messaging they're trying to give you.
I think that's why my business has not been global yet, is that it's truly, I preach and teach self-sufficiency. So it's like people take this 15-day training, it's 15 minutes a day for 15 days. And then when I'm like, you never need a meditation course again.
Yeah.
Like you can just do it every day, twice a day for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And it fucking works.
There you go.
And then people are off into the wilderness. So it's not a great business model, but it is a great business model because then it changes people's lives and then they want to bring their friends.
Absolutely.
So,
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, totally.